Hi guys, this is Abioye Pelumi, and in this video we'll be building a very simple trading bot, and the trading bot has to do with trend line crossing, stuff like that. So in this video we'll be working with two trend lines. There will be a trend line to represent a downtrend, and there will also be a trend line to represent an uptrend. So basically this is what we'll be doing. Anytime a candle cross and close above the downtrend trend line, is going to place a buy trade, and anytime a bearish candle cross and close below the uptrend trend line, the bot is going to place a sell trade. So now that we've successfully drawn the objects on our chart, the next thing we should do is to go to our meta editor and create a file. So navigate to new, choose expert advisor templates. Then under name, you can just type T line EA, which is T line expert advisor. Then your name, then link to your website or your email. Then click on next, finish. So we successfully create the file where we'll be writing our code. So now let's go back to MetaTrader 5. You know, we have two trend lines here, right? In our code, we can create this trend line ourselves. But why do we need to create this trend line ourselves when we can just, add it on MT5 and, just draw it on our chart by ourselves? So which is what we are doing in this video. The first thing you need to do is that for your code to be able to identify and differentiate between these two trend lines, that okay, this particular trend line is a downtrend and this particular trend line is an uptrend, right? So what you are going to do is that you are going to declare a string variable to store the name of both trend line. So for the first one, I can say up underscore, it must be a string. Declare the data type string, which you want to use to store the name string. Then you can give it an identifier. Let me say this one, down underscore trend. Next, you can just add equals to, then double quotation mark, then end it with a semicolon. Do the same thing again for the string, for the downtrend string, up underscore trend equals double quotation, then end it with a semicolon. But the problem with this is that there is no way that our code is going to receive the names of these particular trend lines we are talking about, because this is our code, right? So this is where the input keyword comes in. Input. So anytime you use the word input, it means that the user will be required to input something, right? So now if you see that, let me activate the bot. That should be TLEA, right? If I activate the bot, you see that under inputs I have two options, right? That is required for me to enter. But in a scenario where I remove this input, then the user will not be required to. Now you see no more inputs in the properties of the expert advisor. But if I add it back, inputs, compile, go to MT5 properties, you can see that here we are required to input something, right? So now we need to let the bot know the name of the downtrend line and the name of the uptrend line. Now to input the name of the downtrend line, all you just need to come here to right click on the downtrend line, go to properties, then copy the name of the downtrend line. Once you do that, go back to the properties of the expert advisor, then under input, paste the name, right? Click on OK, then right click on the uptrend line again, go to the properties, right? Copy the name, click on OK, go to the properties of the expert advisor, then paste the name of the uptrend. So now our program will be able to identify the uptrend line and the downtrend line. The next step is that we need to declare double variables, array variables to get the close price, open price, low price, I price and the time of all candlestick, because we are working with like candle crossover, right? For us to be able to decide if the close price of a candlestick is below, if I place my cursor on this candlestick, you can see that we have the close price, the open price, high price, low price, and also the time. So we need to retrieve this so that we'll be able to know if the close price of a candle is below the downtrend or above the uptrend or above the downtrend line. So let me go ahead and declare a double array variable for open. This is for the open price, double close price, double high price, double low price. Lastly, you'll be needing a date time variable to store the open price of all these candlesticks. There is a semicolon expected, okay. And inside our own initialization event handler, we are going to use the array set as series function. So you are going to say array set as series, then input open, then comma true. That's the identifier for the that we are using to store the open price. Then input true, semicolon. Then you are going to repeat the same thing for the rest. For the close price, for the high price, the same thing for the low price, and lastly for the time. So basically, the purpose of this array set as series function is that naturally, anytime you are copying data from MQL5, it usually copies from back forwards, but this time around we want to copy from the latest candle on the chart. So if you want the copying of the candle data to start from the latest bar on the chart backwards, you have to use the array set as series function. The next thing to do now is to go to inside our own tick event handler, which is in between these two curly brackets. Then we are going to use the function copy open to copy the open price of each candle. Then if you use underscore symbol, it means the current symbol on your chart. The next one, period current, it means the current time frame. It's saying this parameter is saying in start, where do you want it to start from? If you say int index 0, you want to start from index 0, then it means it's going to start from this current ticking bar. Let me use the crossbar to mark it. If you start from index 0, you start from here, because indexing in MQL5 start from 0. This bar that is ticking here is called index 0. This is called index 1. The third one is called index 2. The fourth one is called index 3. So counting starts from 0. So if I say 0, it means the copying of the count is going to start from index 0, right? Then comma, the next parameter is saying count, which means how many bars do you want to copy. So if you want to copy for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bars, the data for these 5 bars, they are going to say 5. Then next one is comma, then it's saying array, which means which array do you want to store the open prices. Then we are just going to input the identifier for the array, right? End the line with a semicolon. So with this, we successfully copied the data for 5 candlesticks on our chart and the open prices for 5 candlesticks on our charts. So now if I comment out the open price of the current of index 0, which means index 0 means the first candle on the chart. If I say index 0, let me compile. Comments means to show on my screen. So if I check here, let's check the open price. Can you see the open price is 9134.43, right? That's the open price of the current ticking candle. If I check for index 1, open price for index 1, compile, this is 01, this is the second bar on the chart. The open price is 913376, you can see it there. Then if I check for index 2, that will be the third bar on our chart. 6 indexes start from 1. So 0, 1, 2. The third bar on our chart, it should be 9133.6 9133.00. So you can see it here. You can see the comments here on our chart. So let's go back to our code. Let's do the same thing again. Let's copy the close price of all the candles. So let's say this time around we're using the copy close function. I'm going to say underscore symbol, comma, period, current, start from index 0, copy for 5 bars, then end the line with a, it remains one parameter, comma, then which array do you want to store it? You want to store in the close price array. So let's do the same thing for copy high. You want to copy the high price, then you are going to say underscore symbol, which means the current symbol on your chart, comma, period current, which means the current time frame on our chart. Where do you want to start from? Index 0. How many bars do you want to copy? 5 bars. Then input the name of the array for the high price, HIGH, high price, and the line with a semicolon. Do the same thing for the low. Copy low underscore symbol, comma, period current, start from index 0, copy for the 5 bar. This time around we are copying the low price of each candle. Then last one, copy time, then underscore symbol, comma, period current, start from index 0, copy for 5 bars, then the identifier, time, and the line with a semicolon. So with this, you successfully copied the open price, close price, high price, low, and time for all the last 5 candles on your charts. Now that we've successfully copied the candle data, the next thing we have to do is to copy the trend line data. For example, in this case, how do we know whenever the close price of a candle is above the trend line? We need to also check the trend line data. At what price was the trend line at this particular period? For example, if you want to say if the second bar is above the trend line, we need to check the price of the trend line at that moment. For example, you can see that as I place my cursor on the trend line, it's saying the trend line currently at that particular time is at 9143.18. So we need to know where the trend line was at that particular candlestick to know if the close price of the candle is above the trend line at that period. So for this is what we are going to do. We need to declare a double variable to store the price for the uptrend and the downtrend. So let's say double uptrend underscore value, and it's a semicolon. Then we are going to do the same thing for the downtrend. Then downtrend value. So now how do we get the data for the trend line? So let's get for the downtrend first. So we should say downtrend value equals, you are going to use this function, object gets value by time, which means we want to get the value of a particular object at a particular time. For example, we want to check if the close price of index 1 is above the trend line, then we need the time of index 1 to see if the close price is above the trend line at that particular time. So we are using the function object gets value by time, right? So now the first thing is we have to input the chart ID. You can use this chart ID function, then comma. The next one is saying the string, which is the name of the object. Remember, the name of the object is downtrend, right? So you are going to input it here, downtrend, comma, then the time that you want to retrieve. For example, let's say this is the time for index 1 on our chart. We can't use this index 0 because the candle is not stable. We need the close price of the last stable candle, which will be this index 1 candle, right? So now if I place my cursor on that candle, you can see that the time is 2025. Let me come here so that I see it clearly. The time is 2025 9:06, right? Now we need to check the trend line value at that time. So if I trace it up, I check the trend line value at that time, you can see that the trend line value is above the close price, right? So now this is what we are going to do to know anytime that the close price is above the trend line. We are going to impute time index 1. So you know what, let me comment out the time index 1 so that you get it better. So if I comment time index 1, let me put a comma. You can see that time index 1 is 2025 09 06 to 1400, right? So if I place my cursor on here, you see that that is correct. That is exactly that time. If I place my crossbar on, this is 2025 09 06 1400. Now if I check for time index 2 and I compile the code, it's going to go for 0 1 2. So you can see that in this scenario is 1355, right? And if I go for index 0, it's going to be this candle that is not stable. Let me go for index 0, compile, come here, check it. You can see that is for 1405, right? So now you can see that for us to get the value of the trend line at this particular time, if I trace it up, the value of the trend line at this particular time is what? 9142. But for index 0 at this particular time is what? 9142 is still very close. 9142.58, I guess. So that is it. Let's go back to our code. Let me delete this for now. So now I want to get the value of this object, of the trend line downtrend object at this particular time. Then just add a comma, then impute 0. You don't need to understand this for now. So let me comment out downtrend value. Let me comment it out. Comment down, comma, compile. You can see that, so it's saying that the value of this downtrend line at time at this particular time, the time of this in the of this bar at index 1 is 49142. So let me place my crossbar on it so that we see if it is correct. Can you see 9142 exactly? So now anytime you compare the close price, if the close price of this candle is above 91, if it's above that particular trend, as above that particular price of the trend line at that particular time, then the bot is going to place a buy trade. But now, how does the bot, identify this particular trend line? Remember I said earlier, all you just need to do is to go to properties, copy the name of the object, right? This is for the downtrend. Then go to the properties of the object. Now in the downtrend section, you can see of our input this thing, just paste the name. So once you paste the name, the bot is going to identify it. So that is very, very important. So now let's do the same thing for the uptrend line. So I'll just come here, uptrend line value will now be equals to object get value by time, then chart ID parentheses, then comma, the name of the object this time around is uptrend. Then I want to get the value of uptrend at what time? At time index 1, comma 0, then add a semicolon, compile. So now let me check, let me comment it out. Comment uptrend value, uptrend value, end it with a semicolon. So if I check it this time around, you will see that saying 9142. So if I use my crossbar to trace it, the price of the uptrend value at index 1, let me check it, 9124. Can you see it's 9124? Then you can see it here 9124, which means we successfully copied the candle data, the uptrend data, and the downtrend data. The next step for us now is to define the logic for the expert advisor. So remember to write the logic for the expert advisor, just type if, right? If the close price of index 1 is greater than, this is for a buy trade, right? Downtrend value, right? That is when the boss should what? Place a buy trade. And the second, okay, if the close price of index 1 is greater than the downtrend, then you should add another condition, that and the open of index 1 is greater than the downtrend. This signifies whenever the market cross above the downtrend, right? So anytime the market cross above the downtrend, in a case like this, you can see here once this bullish candle cross the trend line, it means the open price will be below the downtrend line and the close price will be above the downtrend line, right? So that's why I use the condition like that. Then for a sell trade, you can use another if statement. If the close price 1 is less than, this should be up trend line value, and open 1 is greater than the up trend value, the boss should place a sell trade, right? So this is the condition for a buy trade, and this is the condition for a sell trade. This represents when the close price cross above the downtrend line value, and this represents when a candle cross and close below the uptrend line value. So now for you to execute a buy trade and sell trade in MQL5, this is what you will do. You have to come here, then declare add hashtag include, then add this less than sign, then type trade dot mqh, then end this with a greater than sign, compile. You see we have 0 errors and we have 0 warnings. Then type c trade, then add a space, then type trade, end it with a semicolon, right? The next thing you have to do now is to come here inside the condition for a buy trade. Let me delete this comment. Type trade dot then buy. The first one is saying what should the lot size be, so you can input your lot size. Let me say I want to use 0.6 lot size. Then the second one is saying string volume, which means the name of the symbol. You can just use underscore symbol, right? Add a comma. The next one is saying what is your ask price. Now to get the ask price, you can declare a double variable. Let me delete this. Double variable, then type ask underscore price equals, then use the function symbol info double, then underscore symbol, comma, symbol ask. So this variable is going to help you store the ask price. So you can just input the ask price here, add a comma, then your stop loss. This is a buy trade, so your stop loss can be the low price of that same index 1 bar, right? You can place your stop loss there, and your take profit can be, let's say, ask price plus how many points, how many price interval. Let me just say 20, depending on the asset you are trading. If it is for like something like Euro USD, you can just type 0.0010 to represent 10 pips. but because I'm trading volatility assets, so I will just say ask price plus 10. So it's going to add 10 plus the ask price as our take profit. I was going to use 10, and it's a semicolon, compile. Now let's go to sell. Can just type trade dot sell, open a comma, parentheses, 0.6 as our lot size, comma, underscore symbol to represent the current symbol on our chart, should be 0.6. Add a comma, then ask price, comma, then the stop loss can, because this is a sell, the stop loss can be high price of the same candle that cross the trend line, and our take profit can be ask price minus, let me just say minus 30. Let me do the same 30 for this, end it with a semicolon. I made a mistake here. It should be open price should be less than downtrend, so let me compile. No, now this is the uptrend line and this is the downtrend line. So let's see if the market cross and close below the uptrend line is going to execute a set trade, or if it cross and close above the trend line, the downtrend line is going to execute a buy trade. So I'm expecting it that if this candle, this candle close, it's going to execute sell trades. So let's see. Patiently waiting. I think the candle should close now, so we'll know if, and we're expecting the stop loss to be at the high price and the take profit should be, can you see, so it has executed the trade and the stop loss is at the high price, that's the sell trade, and take profit is will be minus 30 price difference. So basically that is it. But you can see that in this scenario it is taking too much trades, it is taking trades on every tick in the market. Why? Because our code was written in the on tick event handler, so we need to prevent the bot for taking trades on every tick. Now for you to do that, let me first close all these open positions. Let me move this trend line because taking too much of positions, and I'm going to go ahead to close all positions. So I've closed all positions, and in order for you to prevent trade on every tick, if you want it to only take one trade per tick, this is what you are going to do. So you are going to come here, declare a date time variable, this time, then identifier, just name last trade, last underscore trade underscore time equals 0. Then in your onTick function event handler, you can just declare current, you can declare under this time variable, this time current bar time. This is to get the, use the iTime function to get the open time for the current bar underscore symbol. That's the first parameter. Use period current, then shift just use 0, which means the current the time for the open time for the current ticking bar. So now in order for you to execute one trade per bar, you can add this to your condition. You can say if last trade time, right, is not equals to current bar time, the bot can execute a trade, but after executing a trade, the last trade time should now be the same as the current bar time, which means no, the last trade time is 0, current bar time is the open time of the current ticking bar. So if all these conditions, if there is a crossing and the current bar time is not the same as the last trade time, because last trade time is 0, then the bot should execute a trade, and immediately it executes, then the last trade time is now the same thing as, should now be the same thing as current bar time, which means until the current bar time change, maybe like the next bar, the bot will no longer execute trade, right? I think this should be a single equals to. Then we are going to do the same thing for this, for the buy, for the sell trade. So with this logic, I believe you should only execute trade once per bar. I think I have some operator is expected. Current bar time coming. Unexpected token. It should be here. Okay. There should be a bracket there. Okay. So now let's see if the bot is going to execute only one trade if there is a crossing below this trend line. Let me move the trend line a little bit upwards. Okay, so let's see if there will be a crossing below the line now, and if it is going to just execute one trade instead of two trades. Unfortunately, we are not getting a sell trade. I was expecting a sell trade here, so I think something might be wrong with our code. Okay, so I think it should be maybe something like this. If current bar time is not equals to last trade time, then the same thing should be here also. So let's see if current bar time compile. Let's see if it works. Okay, I think this should work, but let me close this trade. This should work. Should be if current bar time is less than the current open time. So let's see if there will be a crossing below the trend line at this point. Trend line here too, so that in case there is a crossing above, we are going to get a buy trade, and if there is a crossing below, we are going to get a sell trade. So let's see what the outcome will be. So can you see, once we get this crossing above, we got a buy trade, and if it was below this particular one, we are going to get a sell trade. So this is very easy. The mistake I made earlier was that it should be if current bar time is not the same as last trade time, instead of last trade time not the same as current buy time. All right guys, so if you find this video helpful, make sure you subscribe to this YouTube channel, because in the next one we will be discussing something much more interesting, maybe how to build a demand and supply trading bot or harmonic patterns. So all right guys, still remain Abioye Pelumi. Thanks for watching. Bye.